A desperate woman whispers into the phone. Her voice is trembling. Her words are chilling. She's calling 911, begging for help. Police are dispatched. But when they arrive, everything changes. What should have been a rescue turns into a tragedy. And the truth about what really happened that night leaves an entire community shaken. The question is, how did a cry for help end in heartbreak? Her name was Angela. Angela was 32 years old. She was a daughter, a sister, and, most importantly, a mother of 2 young children. Friends described her as compassionate, strong, and determined. The kind of person who always put others first. She worked as a nurse's assistant, often pulling long shifts. Her co-workers said she had a gift for calming patients, even in their darkest moments. At home, Angela's world revolved around her kids. She loved to cook for them, take them to the park, and read bedtime stories at night. Her dream was simple, to give them the stable, loving life she hadn't always had growing up. But behind the warm smile and quiet strength, Angela was hiding a secret. One that would ultimately place her in grave danger. It was a warm spring evening in Angela's hometown. She had just put her children to bed. The house was quiet. But sometime after midnight, neighbors heard raised voices. An argument. Glass breaking. Then silence. At 12:47 a.m., a call came into 911. It was Angela. Her voice was barely audible. She whispered that someone was in her home, that she was scared. The dispatcher asked if she could speak freely. Angela said no. The line stayed open as officers were sent to the address. On the recording, Angela can be heard gasping, crying quietly, pleading. And then, the line suddenly went dead. When police arrived, the house was eerily still. The front door was locked. Lights flickered inside. At first glance, everything seemed normal. But inside Angela's bedroom, officers found signs of struggle. A lamp overturned. A streak of blood on the sheets. But Angela was gone. Her children, miraculously, were still asleep in the next room. They hadn't seen or heard what happened to their mother. News of Angela's disappearance spread quickly. Her family was frantic. Her mother begged reporters. She called for help. She called you. How could this happen? The community was shaken. How could a woman vanish right after dialing 911? Detectives began piecing together Angela's final hours. The 911 call was analyzed frame by frame. Background noise suggested a man's voice in the house. But who was he? Attention quickly turned to Angela's ex-boyfriend, Marcus. Their relationship had been rocky. Angela confided to friends that he was controlling and volatile. She had ended things months before. But Marcus claimed he hadn't seen Angela that night. He said he was home alone. Investigators weren't convinced. Surveillance footage showed Marcus's car driving toward Angela's neighborhood around the time of her 911 call. Yet when they searched his vehicle, they found nothing conclusive. Still, Marcus wasn't their only lead. Neighbors reported seeing a different man near Angela's home days earlier. Someone she had briefly dated. Someone she had tried to cut ties with. Police tracked him down. He denied involvement. He even provided an alibi. The case twisted into confusion. Was this a domestic dispute that turned violent? Or was Angela targeted by someone else entirely? Weeks turned into months. The search for Angela stretched across the county. Volunteers combed fields, rivers, and abandoned buildings. Detectives followed tip after tip. Sightings were reported in nearby towns. But each one ended in disappointment. Without a body, the case grew colder. Prosecutors hesitated to bring charges against Marcus. There was suspicion, but not enough evidence. Angela's family held vigils. They kept her name in the news. But behind closed doors, frustration mounted. How, they asked, can a woman call 911 for help and still vanish without a trace? 2 years later, the twist came. A local hunter stumbled upon human remains in a wooded area just 15 miles from Angela's home. DNA confirmed the worst. It was Angela. The discovery reopened the case with new urgency. Beside the remains, Investigators found a torn piece of fabric and a zip tie. Evidence suggested she had been restrained. But the most chilling find was buried in the dirt nearby. A phone. Shattered, but still traceable. Forensic analysis showed it belonged to Marcus. Marcus was arrested. The man who once professed to love Angela, the man she had tried to escape, was now accused of ending her life. Investigators revealed disturbing details. Marcus had a history of domestic violence in past relationships. Women described him as charming at first, but quickly possessive and violent. Angela had even filed for a restraining order months before her death. But it hadn't been granted. On the night Angela called 911, Marcus allegedly broke into her home. Her whispering voice, caught on the recording, was the sound of a woman hiding from the man who wanted to control her. At trial, prosecutors presented the evidence. The surveillance footage of his car, the phone buried near Angela's remains, the history of abuse. Marcus was convicted of murder and sentenced to life without parole. For Angela's family, the verdict brought some relief. But it also brought haunting questions. Why wasn't her restraining order granted? Why wasn't she protected when she asked for help? And why did it take 2 years for the truth to surface? Angela's children are now being raised by her mother. They are told stories about their mother's love, her laughter, and her bravery. Her 911 call is remembered not just as evidence of her final moments, but as a reminder of a system that failed to protect her. Angela's story is heartbreaking. A woman in danger called for help. She did everything right. And yet, she still lost her life. Her case forces us to ask, when victims reach out in their most desperate hour, are we truly listening? And how many more lives will be lost before the system changes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story important, subscribe for more cases that deserve to be remembered. Until next time, stay safe and take care of one another.